Hi, Elaine here. Today I'll be sharing how to create advanced picture frames in Affinity Publisher and how to style them. In the last video I shared how to create a custom picture frame using the pen tool. This time I'll be showing you how to use other shape tools to create advanced custom picture frames for your Affinity Publisher layouts. This is the file that I'm using today. It is a work in progress football magazine. That is the cover. And then I have pages 2 and 3 with a table of contents, but we're working on 4 and 5. The easiest way to start with this is to go up to View and down to Guides. And in here I'm going to configure this to have 5 columns and 7 rows with a gutter of 3mm. The other change I'm going to make is I'm going to change the margins from 10mm to 0 because I want to use the full space available on the page. And this is going to help me create the shapes that I need to form the basis of this advanced picture frame. To do that, I'm going to use the rectangle tool. And just so we can see this, because at the moment it looks very much like the background, I'm going to give it a fill as well. Once I've got that first shape selected, the easiest way to create all of the others is with it selected, press Enter and you'll see the Move Duplicate dialog box. I'm going to create the shapes in the columns first, and I happen to know that I need to move that horizontally 42.6mm, and then I need 4 duplicates of it. We can see the preview behind it. I'm going to click OK, and there's the first 5 shapes. Next thing to do, make sure that I've got those 5 shapes selected. Press the Enter key again. This time I'm specifying a value for the vertical, which happens to be 42.9. And this time I need duplicates, but I need 6 of them. And click OK. And that is my grid created. What I'm going to do next, because there's a lot of shapes in my layers panel, I'm going to select them and Command and G to group them. Then Command and J to make a duplicate of them. We'll see what we do with that later, but for the moment I'm going to toggle the view of it off. And I'm working with this set of shapes I've just created. What I'm going to do with that is move up to the toolbar, and I have my Boolean operation to add these shapes. Once I click that, what I end up with is not a group of multiple shapes. I end up with a single shape, which is a curve shape, but it contains multiple squares within it. Then I'm going to remove the fill from it because I'm going to right click and select to convert it to a picture frame. And I want to be able to see that big cross in it so I know that it has worked. In my stock panel, I have done a search for soccer ball and I found a perfect image. So I'm going to drag and drop that image into our new curve shape. Because this is a picture frame, all of the picture frame tools are available, so I can move this left to right. I could also move it up and down, but at the moment it's the correct height. So just get that into a position that makes sense for your content and you are done. So that's the first look, which is a single image inside what looks like a video wall, for want of a better description. Now let's see what else we can do with this by making some simple changes. Now at the moment it looks like there's a white background on that, but it only looks like there's a white background because there's actually no background at all. If I were to add a single shape, so I will draw this out over the top of what we've got there, and I will give that a white fill. At the moment it's sitting over the top of our picture frame. Moving it behind the picture frame doesn't look any different because at the moment it has a white fill. But if we were to give that a completely different fill, like a black fill, we have a completely different look. I'm now going to use the preview option so we can turn off our guides and grid and get a better idea for what that would actually look like. So if I just toggle that rectangle on and off, you can see the impact of that. Another thing I could do is actually pick the colour from the left-hand page, which is not actually black. It's more of a brown colour. And that way it looks as though the spread has a single background colour and our image is sat on top of that. Now, changing that back to white, let's have a look at a different way that we could format this image. And that is using that group of shapes that I created and toggled off. Toggling them back on, not the best colour, but if I give them a white fill, what I could do with this is double clicking into my group and then holding the Shift key down, I'm selecting alternate shapes. So you can see that building up there. With those selected, in my layers panel, they are alternating there. But with them selected, if I toggle off the visibility, we get a completely different look. More of a mosaic pattern. Let's try something different again. This time I'm going to select the shapes that are currently white in the right-hand 3 columns. So they are toggled on at the moment. I am going to toggle them off so we can see the ball. These shapes that are left as white, I'm selecting those with the Shift key held down. And what I'm going to do with those is right-click and convert to picture frame. Now this time I don't want a compound picture frame. I want 7 individual picture frames. And at the moment we haven't got a cross anywhere, so we can't really tell. And that's because we turn preview mode on. So let's go back and make sure that each one has an individual cross in it, which it does. And then I'm just going to randomly select some images from my soccer ball search and put them in those shapes. So let's just randomly put some of those in. Let's get some of people. Now each of those images is inside its own picture frame and they are all editable. So what I can do in here is select the shape and I get all of the picture frame controls that I can move these images. So if I want to see more of the goal net, I can. If I want to see more of the ball, I can. For some of these, particularly the ones with people in, you may well want to move it so they are better positioned. That one is almost in the centre, just not quite. And let's move this one so we can see more of the children. And you could also scale it as well. So if I scale that one up, we get a closer image of the ball itself. Now it's really simple using exactly the same technique to create variations on a theme with this, changing various aspects of what I've demonstrated, and it can give a completely different look. So for example, smaller shapes, different shapes. Any of the shape tools can be used. I used a simple rectangle, but any of the shape tools will give you exactly the same effect if you use the same technique. So this one, hearts and flowers. The possibilities are endless. So let's have a quick recap. I created a grid using view guides. Mine was on an A4 page with 5 columns and 7 rows, and I added 3mm gutters but no margins. I then added a single shape that was the size of one of those intersections. And I used Move Duplicate to create the additional shapes. I then grouped all of those shapes into a single group. I made a copy and hid it, ready to be used later. I used a Boolean add operator on the first set of shapes to create a single curve shape. Then I converted that single curve shape into a picture frame, added an image, and then use the second set of shapes to provide various looks, including making several of the shapes individual picture frames and adding images to them. Finally, I shared a few variations of the principle using other shapes. If you want new tutorials and tips and tricks on a regular basis, check out my free training at elainegiles.com/VIP. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss future tutorials. And if you have any requests for specific tutorials, be sure to contact me. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and see you next time.